Hello again. I just wanted to go a little bit further on this big D Magneto here and get into the point assembly a little bit and the E-gap and everything. So stay tuned here. The first thing you want to do is, of course, when you get the armature in there, you got to set it up with the spacers, make sure it's all good, that it turns nice and free. It's not rubbing on anything. Sometimes when you change the coils, cores in them, it's machined a little bit different. You got a file here, file there to make them all fit good. But this one, I wound the one that was in it. It wasn't the original core for it because they usually have numbers stamped here that go across these two, brass and steel, and this one has been changed at some point in time. Somebody did a lot of work on this thing at one time. They converted it from a straight 2-spark to a 2-spark dual. So they put this whole other nose off of a D4 dual. And the distributor caps are different heights. So I had to silver solder another piece of brass up here to get rid of a 1/4-inch gap that was between the bottom of the cap and the top of the bearing housing here. So, but anyway, I wanted to go over the timing a little bit. So this is the battery set of points right here that functions. And on the back side of that is a slot. And as you can see, I've had to silver solder and refile this to get it in the right position. But this determines where the most advanced and most retarded is. And the advanced part's critical because you want it to open it when it's got maximum power, like the E-gap. So, and there's a screw right down here that goes into that slot. And that's what determines how much movement you have, the size of that slot, the position of that slot, and that screw. These are the battery points, open and close, and they function on these cams, the bottom cam or the inside cam of the points. The battery points are almost always 10 degrees retarded from the magneto points. So if you have to start it on the battery, you're not going to get bit on the hand crank. These magnetos take what they call a Bosch Type A coil. And you can turn it on battery and it has a buzzer situation. If these points are open, it'll vibrate across the points, just show sparks across whatever spark plug is open for firing. So anyway, this goes on, and get it on. And that determines the movement right there. Then the magneto points go in, and there's a slot and a slot in here, so that has to go in the correct position. There it is right there. Put the center screw in. The center screw goes into the condenser, and that's what puts the condenser in parallel with the magneto points. The battery condenser, when it comes to that, is actually in the A coil that's on the dash. This one has a set of rollers to open and close the points. These rollers are numbered. Usually I see the 1, 2, or 3, and they're a matched set. These, all this stuff is 110 years old now, so none of it's perfect anymore. And that goes into this slot. Now you can see I'm in a fully advanced position there, and I'm going counterclockwise. You can see the gap just right there, and that's where I feel the points want to open, right there. And you can probably see it, just points open right there, right at that E-gap, fully advanced. And then, of course, when you move it this way, it's more retarded. That's when the points start to open, and that's where the armature is there. So that's why that slot has to be in the right place, and it can't be too wide. A 2-spark is about 550 thousandths wide. A single spark is 750 thousandths. You get more advance out of a single spark than you do a 2-spark. But because you're firing 2 sparks in the same cylinder at the same time, the flame travel, the fire burn on the fuel is a lot faster. So it's actually, even though you don't get as much physical advance, you actually get more advance, about the same advance as on a single spark, because the fuel's burning faster. And then I don't know if you can see these or not. This one is which one's this? Which one this is? This is the one that goes on this one, a 2-spark. This is a pretty early one. So it's got these little dots right here. I don't know if you can see them or not. And there's a L here and an R here. There's 2 sets of drilled holes in here, 1, 2, 3, and then these empty ones here. So when you change the direction of rotation, you have to take these 3 screws out and move this to either this screw lines up with the right or the left, whichever one you're going to do. And then these dots line up with the corresponding dots that are on that's on the armature gear. On some of these, this one's a little bit different. It's the same deal. It has a right and a left, but it also has a right and a left here too. So you have to move this whichever way you go and time it to the armature, move this to whatever it's going to be to set the magneto up right. And always check the brushes too, because I've seen them to where they're right on the edge of the brass contacts in the distributor cap here. So you got to make sure that they, doesn't matter where they touch, as long as they touch fully advanced, fully retarded, they're still on those contacts. Anyway, that's about what I have for this program. So we'll do several more. Talk to you soon.